Okay, Rabbi, it's a pleasure speaking about the Parshas Sisa, the base. Just wanted to introduce that it's well known what the Rebbe said about Tovshin Yud, after Yud Shvat, the Halavai, that the Anash would be Medayik in the last Sichas of the Friedrich Rebbe that we have. So Lohoyer, from the whole set of Sichas, if you want to call it that, from after Chav Ches Nissen and Aleph to Nun Beis, this was really the last Mugadik Sicha from that Tkufa, because after this there was only Vayakil, and Vayakil, the Rebbe looked over the Rad, but there was never Magiya, the entire Sicha. So
Rad
this,
meaning the Rashi Prokim, just the general outline.
The Kitzer, and there was one or two Agos, I think, on that from Vayakil. So that week of Tetzaveh, the Rebbe spoke Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Shabbos, and they put pieces from all the Tzichos together. And I remember from when it came out, we used to chazer over in the shul. 11 at the Tzeit was always a week later, because we would get the Mugad Gesicha. So I remember from them, it was mind-blowing. Everybody knew it was a revolutionary Sicha. So from Mizman Lizman, I take out the Sicha, and I appreciate the opportunity to go over it again now, because it's mamish a monumental Sicha that every Chassid should learn, not just listening to our Kitzer Dvarim, but to learn Taka inside. So, give the overview.
The overview, basically, the Rebbe addresses here the entire purpose of creation, the span of creation, all of Torah, all of Ishtalshalos, all of history. And he addresses it and expresses it in the most elemental and simple components, as it were, of Yiddishkeit, starting with the first three letters of the Aleph Beis Gimel. Before we get into any kind of pratim, it should also be noted here, when we say that the Rebbe addresses everything, a central theme here is that even, or especially as it turns out in the Sikha, as it were, the negative aspects of history of a person's life, Pashat Chatoim, sins and Golos, there is no wiggle room here. This is absolute, Ein Leid Mulvadai, everything is Elikus, everything is for one purpose, it's all just stages in an evolution. In fact, just to mention now, the principle of Yedid L'Tzorech Aliyah is an old principle, that every ascent leads to an ascent. Is the word in the Sikha here? That's true B'chlal, of creation, not a Yid. A Yid, there's no aspect in his life that is a means to something else. It's all the process of Aliyah. And so, just physically, if you just look at it, I'm not going to address it now, my bell will say a few words. Just gone through a couple of pages here. These three columns, we will say this as an outset, that the Eibishter set up existence on all of its levels, and there's three dimensions: beginning, middle, and end. Rosh, Toich, and Sof. And everything that exists in Torah and creation is all on this grid. The conception, the actual process, the story of life, and then its culmination, the third component. So we'll get some details here, but just looking at this page, the Rebbe addresses this in the macro and the micro, the big picture, the smaller picture within Torah, several pages all neatly plotted in this general principle of Aleph Beis Gimel. Beginning, middle, process, and the conclusion, of course, redemption. One introductory word, there's a Meritek word in the Sikha. At one point the Rebbe asks, but we're saying that this Aliyah, in fact, comes through tremendous Yeridus, Chet Ego, which is the subject of Parshas Sisa. How can we say such a thing? Question, exclamation mark. His answer is, that's how the Eibishter established it. Kach kov HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That this is part of his nisava. This is God's desire that the whole process embrace also Yerida, which the Rebbe is insisting, and therefore is, in the words of Chassidus Elsa, Tzimtzum B'Shvil HaGilui, even the Yerida is itself integral to the Aliyah, and he demonstrates this again in the macro and the micro. Let's get into some detail here.
The thing about Tzimtzum B'Shvil HaGilui is almost like the union of Yerida Tzerech Aliyah, that the Tzimtzum is a Tzimtzum. What the Rebbe brings out over here is that it's kuli aliyah. It's much more than Yirid Tzarech Aliyah.
He speaks about the mask of Moshe Rabbeinu, that masveh, which is Tzimtzum, is all in order that Yidden should be... No, when we spoke to Yidden, there was no mask.
There was no mask.
But he put the mask on that the world should be able to get his Geulah.
Such a Geulah
That's the Tzimtzum.
Broken, yeah.
So the Tzimtzum itself is a process of revelation.
The one word, I think, which puts the perspective, the Rebbe said that this union of three, the Rebbe tied in with that all things, everything has the Reish Teichen Sof. So you have, what is the Kavanah? That's the Rosh. What is the point of this? What's the Tachlis? That's the Rosh of everything. And then you have the thing. And then you have, when you finally fulfill the Kavanah at the end, and that's the end. And that's the Aleph of Anechi, and then the base is the Bria, and the Gimel is Geulah. So it comes out, the Seder Shtalshus, those Seder Shtalshus is only the base, is only the middle, because the Torah is Bishvil HaTorah. This whole Seder Shtalshus is Bishvil HaTorah, and it'll have the Geulah when it comes to the end. So the Rebbe said, this is anywhere in Torah. Hafachba, you can find it anywhere. But the Rebbe said, it was the Lashon over there, Parsha Nifla,
Sidra Nifla.
Seder Nifla, that this is an unbelievable Parsha, because everything's Begolit, everything's spelled out for you. You have Luchos Rishenis, which is the big Geulah, that the Maisel Lakim, and then you have Mechtav Lakim, and then you have the Cheta Egel. You don't have anything lower than that, which is the Birer of Seder Shtalshus, and the Tzimtzum, and the Cheshech, and the Helem, all the concealment. And then you have, right after that, so you have the Geulah, you give them the Sarachimim, and the Luchas Shnias, and the Koran Pnei Mesha, and all of these tremendous Geuluyim which came right after. So the Rebbe touched up. It's a similar point. It was in Lech Lecha Hey, his famous Sikha, that everything Lech Lecha, that even the negative things in the middle are part of the Aliyah. But here the Rebbe spells it out to you. So you mentioned over there the Lashon, that the Eibishter was Keveya. There's also Lashon, the Eibishter, B'chaste HaGodel, made all of these concealments in the middle. Why? Because the whole point is to bring to the positive afterwards, to bring to a point of tshuva, to bring to a point of the luchas shnias, which had ein areich more Torah than the luchas rishenes.
And therefore they're in essence positive.
So then all of these negative things, you have a chait. The Rebbe said, Neira Lila B'nei Adam, bring from the Mittler Rebbe's Maimer, that this is something the Eibishter made it happen in order to bring out the Maila, but it comes out that the darkness, and so the Meiredik, you say this Dikavart of this Sikha, which I think is also the timing right before Chavzai and Adar, I mean, it doesn't say this in the Sikha, but the Nesinas Keach, to come through a period of Helen Vehester, of concealment. So it said, this is exact, the Eber, B'chaste HaGodel made, and on a personal level, whoever is experiencing any difficulty, and who doesn't, everything, it's on the Rebbe Shita, which the Rebbe, you can see in Igros Kodesh, anytime anybody complains to the Rebbe about anything, what is the Rebbe's answer? Yeah, that's what you would put there. He's complaining about the Mesa, he's complaining about his boss, he's complaining about his matzav. Yeah, that's exactly what Rebbe should put you there, because you could recognize what it is, and you could do something about it. This is the Yesod HaPichsidis for an entire Shita, that this is all the Rebbe said, Davar Echad Mamash, it's one Parsha Sisa. And Sisa is elevation. So it's all elevation.
Which answers one of the questions he asked there is, why is it when it comes, why do we find out about the mile of the Luchas Rishonis in the discussion about the Luchas Shnias? The second set of tablets are replacing that which is Bichtav Elikim, and it's It's like going into a cemetery and we don't speak Torah because we're embarrassing the dead, we're mocking them since they can't learn Torah. So here the Torah is telling us the terrible account of Cheta Egel, and therefore the need for the second set of luchas, which only Moshe Rabbeinu is making, and it's on the surface secondary. And there, what is it replacing? It's replacing this extraordinary luchas Rishonos, which is carved out by God Himself. The answer is because, on the contrary, the second set of luchas is even greater and incorporates any mile of the first luchas and is greater still. And so therefore the first set gets its true aliyah only through the Cheta Egel, the Yerid, and the second set. That justifies the first set. On the contrary, the Luchas Rishonos need the Luchas Shnias. as he brings from the Medrash, Hashem consoled Moshe and said, don't be upset that there was a Chet HaEgel, because the first Luchos was only going to be, the Gemara says, Chumash Sefer Yeshua Bilvad, and there's two different Makoros. Bottom line is, most of Torah Sheba'al Peh, in all of its nuance and depth and layers, is given with the second set of Luchos.
Now there's a paragraph there in the Sicha, which was Dover Ikri. There was Masbir that the Luchos Rishenes, since they were coming Milamayla, they were too high to penetrate the world. So B'meila, they ended up being broken. So that's why, in order to make the penetration of to make a Dira Latzmusi Yisborech, so there has to be the Bira Ratachten. So that's the base. The Aleph is too high, you need that. But on the other hand, it's not sufficient. That is the Aleph, which is the point of everything, but the world not a keli for it. So therefore, you need the base, and that's what therefore Moshe Rabbeinu, who was a neshama beguf, so he had the ability, and the Rebbe Makasher, and a number of sichas, but from I think even from Yisrael, that was speaking about the etzem hanefesh of the Yid, how a Yid is atzmus, and the kochen in the inyan from the Shamas Yisrael, so it's the inyan mitzad gili ha'atzmus, so then you can unite side the Aleph, which is Milamayla, and side a base, which is the Bria, the Seder Shtalshus Milamata, and then you can get to the Gimel, which is Inyan Geulah, which is the Gili for Natzmusi Yisborach. But that is the Seder that they were to put through. But now already we're on the threshold of Geulah. We have to koch in getting from the base to the Gimel, and finishing the last
we're
steps.
holding by every Jew receiving the Koran Or Pnei Moshe. That Moshe's skin glowed with his Or Atzmi, it's the words of the Sicha. Which came dafka with the second set of luchas, not the first. Perhaps I should illustrate, because there's so many, as I showed you on the paper here, just a few of this Aleph Beis Gimel. So again, just repeat. Aleph Beis Gimel, the first three letters of the Aleph Beis. Aleph Anoichi, Beis stands for Bereshis, and Gimel Geulah, the end result. Now we see this in the big picture of creation. First was the Eid Sof, then came the Tzimtzum, and then the whole process of history then leads to the world being a Dirah Yisbarach. In Torah itself, the three stages. Torah starts with Bereshis, which is Bishvil Torah. The base itself points to I'm pointing to the Aleph. Then in Torah itself, the whole story from creation till the end of Torah, which is evoking redemption. So Torah itself goes through this beginning, the chunk of it, of course, is the middle. That's the whole history, till Geulah, which will be eternal. That's the center. Likewise, as three levels in Torah. Just in Pirkei Avos begins with Moshe Kibbel Torah Misinai, the whole Torah. Then stage 2 is, he gives it over to the Skenim, and the Mishnah then says, and what did they teach? Hamidu Tamidim Harbe. So this is all. First was Moshe the Klal, now all the Pratim. And what's in the Pirkei Avos? Hashem Yimechlei Avoid Geulah. Maybe another example of, and he says in opening Parshas of Sisa. Sisa is elevation and mission statement. However, he translates that as transgression, Lashon Aveda. But then it brings to what? The ultimate aliyah. And then in the Parsha,
it back. In general, the three things, Luchos Rishenes, the Chet HaEgel, and Luchos Achrenis. But he said, but it spreads all the way to the beginning of the Parsha, from the Sisa, and all the way to the end of the Parsha.
And including all the details in the Parsha, mentions the three regalim.
So Pesach is also three.
Also three. So Pesach is Chedesh Aviv, when the crop ripens, and that's like a Gilim Elamayla.
Chedesh Aviv
Aleph. Then comes Shavuos, that's man's Avodah, reaping, K'tzir Achitim. And then comes Sukkot, which is the ingathering. We're gathering the result of all of our labor, evoking also Hashem's ingathering of Klal Yisrael. Again, Geulah, Aleph Beis Gimel. The Gilim Elamayla, the mission statement, the Avodah that takes to get there, and the final conclusion. Where else in the Parsha?
You said
yeah, here, Meida'ani. So it starts off Meida'ani.
The Aleph of Ani. You start off with the Ani of a Yid. You start off with the Ani.
And he's brought to the Meida, not Ani Meida.
Yeah.
It's Meida'ani.
Meida is already an Aveda. Before he does any Aveda, it's a Gilim Ilamayl, it's a Gilim for Atzmus. Atzmus and Hashem, the Ani, the Aleph is there. Okay, the Meida. So the Meida comes before Ani. Why would they put the word what in the Bazayin? It's a bottle.
That's the beginning. And then comes Hanik ben Minach Derech Eretz. After davening, he's inspired and brings
all
this
the
to the
davening part of
world.
the Aleph. Everything you're doing.
That's
at the
true.
beginning.
Hanik ben Minach Derech all the davening is part of the Aleph.
Well, yeah.
Correct. Stage 2 is out there in the world, and the final thing is Ach Tzadikim
Ma'ariv.
and Ma'ariv till
Ach
B'yad Chaf
Tzadikim,
Kedruchim.
all the way to the Cheshbon HaNefesh.
And finally, Kishma Shalomit B'yad Chaf Kedruchim, that we entrust ourselves to Hashem, and that's the final stage, the Neshama being one with God, B'yad Chaf Kedruchim, absolute oneness. And the emphasis there is that we're holding at stage number 3, and the Koyach comes to Moshe Rabbeinu.
To tell you the truth, I didn't think about it till the second.
Yeah.
But the Rebbe spoke about the Ramazim before Yud Shvat, about the different things the Friedrich Rebbe said. The Rebbe said after that you have these 3 things in the avodah of a person every single day. The Rebbe said so too in the course of a lifetime. Person at the beginning, in the first kufa, second kufa, and the third kufa, the person goes through all of these 3 inyonim. I think one of the things to keep in mind, I think we should be wrapping up over here, no?
Maybe Purim.
Okay, maybe we'll do it at the end.
Okay.
We'll leave it for the Nakuda. I think that sort of a central Nakuda. The Rebbe said, how is it that the base with the Chita Egel, all these things, how is it an Aliyah? So the Rebbe said, it's almost like the transgression and the darkness, the Helen Vehester, is like a side thing. The point is, what comes as a result? The whole point of that was the Eibishter, B'chastei HaGodol, wants to bring us to a level which is incomparably higher than we could possibly reach any other way. So the whole point is not to sit there and be expelled from the darkness. That's completely the opposite of Indian. If there's any hell of a hester, the point is, what comes out of that? What kind of tshuva, what kind of teira, the luchashnias, what kind of gilui, what kind of aveda is going to come to get from the base to the gimel? Because that's the whole point of the base, the whole point of whatever hell of hester. And I think in Kufa after Gimel Tammuz, I mean, this is such a nasinas keach from the last Mugadik Sicha, that this is the whole point, and it's also such a personal strength for everybody. They're going through difficulties, which that's the nature of Seder Shtalshlus, is that we have these interference. And I'm saying nasinas keich for this. The word over there, she said about according to our Moshiach, that the Karen Eir is the gili from Etzem. It's a gili from Etzem, and since you have this pashtusa b'chol dara v'dara, you have b'chol der v'der the meisha shebadere, and you have, as the Alter explains in Tanya, the meisha shebekirbei and the meisha shebekirbei. So I've explained over there. I mentioned before that when Meisha Rabbeinu got the karne heid from speaking upon him to the Eibishter, when he spoke to the Yidden, that was the Yidden were able to unite with the Eibishter through the Karnaheid of Moshe. So he took off the masva then. When did he put it back on? When it had to be shaykh to the world, so otherwise the world wouldn't be able to take it. So then he had to remove it. But this Nesinas Kayach, the Rebbe said, is within every single Yid, that we have the Meisha Shabakir, B'tei Kolecha Ve'echad. Everybody has these Karneheid within them. And this Karneheid, the Nesinas Kayach,
coming from the Meisha Shabadeh.
Yeah, from the Meisha Shabadeh, it comes to the Meisha B'cholecha Ve'echad, and that's the Nesinas Kayach, to be able to carry this up a pale.
Friends, it may sound very general and vague. It is. We're speaking just now for a few minutes. There's no substitute to learning it inside. Every paragraph is fire, and every ha'ar is fire, and one can really, get the sense that this is the end of Golus, and the Rebbe is just illuminating with Eined Mulvadi, godliness, every aspect of creation. This covers everything. The Sikha addresses all of history, all of Torah, Yid's Avodah, the terrible tragedy of 2,000 years of Golus, personal. Everything is addressed here in the most relentless, positive. It's one Nakuda Kisisa. That's why the Parshas is called Kisisa, which means to elevate, even though it speaks about terrible things, because it's all one thing. It's one kavanah. I was
just going to look at the Lashon over here, because I was looking to see what the Rebbe, so I have the Hebrew and the Yiddish versions over here, that the Rebbe, the Seder Shtalshlus is like a detail here. Seder Shtalshlus from Aliyas Haratzon. The Aliyas Haratzon for creating, that's only the first stage within Bria. The Torah is before that. So the whole Inyan that there was Oren Sof Mamal Makom Machol was Achvenik. That's the Aleph of Bria. That's the Aleph, the base.
Of the Bastikani Memhei, by the way.
Yeah.
That's where the Eitz Chaim picks up the narratives way into the process.
Yeah, that's where this is only this is the Aleph Shabbat base. So when the Rebbe speaks about Torah, since that's the Geulah Torah, this whole Seder Shtalshus for the Torah. So how he's going to say, we usually say it's including whole Seder Shtalshus, what the Rebbe says. Chol Inyanim, the Rebbe says. Chol Inyanim this is before Seder Shtalshus. The reason why there is a Seder Shtalshus. We say the heart of the Purim.
Yeah, the families, the Yenis, he connects it to Purim. So first of all, Purim is Kim Mashakibel Kvar. So Purim through Tshuva Mesiris Nefesh completes Matan Torah, like Luchas Shnius. And Purim, Kippurim, Luchas Shnius were given on Yom Kippur. So Purim is this Gimel, the culminating, climactic completion of the process, Aleph and Beis, that began before. And with this we'll understand, that a person must drink wine on Purim, become intoxicated. How could the quoting here? Are you talking to say in matters of Kedusha that a person can distinguish between Order Haman and Baruch Mordechai? Question mark, exclamation mark. And the explanation is, like we're saying here, that the whole, I'm going to translate because the whole Order Haman is Achvarak, only to bring to the greater Aliyah, and higher than Kedusha per se. And this is done, listen, through the Simcha Lipsumik, means a Simcha beyond limits of Purim, that we reveal the inner pnimius of Order Haman, which is very lofty. And therefore we can't distinguish between Order Haman and Baruch Mordechai. As we said, this whole Sichot, all three inyanim in the Parsha, including the Chet and the Shvira, it's all Kisisa. And moreover, the bitter of Order Haman is higher than the base Baruch Mordechai.
So you have the Aleph from the base here, from the Order Haman and the Baruch Mordechai.
The base of Mordechai is Bereshis. That's a bracha that's related to the nature of Kedusha. But Order Haman, in that transformation, is higher than the nature, the Tev of Kedusha, touching the very essence.
And he brings out a word over there, right after Hemshech to Shushan Purim. What's Shushan? Shushan is city in Parshas. What's in from Parshas? So Achashverosh Melech Parshas. What's in from Parshas? Parshas is Shorsh Klipsat Tmeis. It's Mamish Malach mit der Zeit. Where all the problems coming from? Coming from Persia, from Iran. So the Inyan of Adl Yoda, that you, and the Inyan of Shushan Purim is that you mahapich Shorsh Klipsat Tmeis. Not only you're dealing with Klippas Nega, you're dealing with Shorsh Klipsat Tmeis, and not only you're nullifying them, you're being mahapich. Yeah.
Exactly, the numbers this.
So this is turning over the whole thing, and that's the whole point of all the negativity, all of the base, that we're still in the middle of it. So with the Rebbe's light, it's just it's almost. Afterwards, you have to close the sefer because you need a masveh. The world is keli for it, and this is the way through learning Yana Moshiach and Geulah that it should penetrate the world.
This is nothing more encouraging. This Sikha makes it very clear. There are no barriers, but everything that exists, including the barrier, and the greatest barrier, on the contrary, that is integral to the whole purpose, and is all one. So therefore, as we mentioned earlier, everyone goes through struggles in life and challenges. No, it's all the divine plan. Tshuva is the result. Why wait? Let's make it happen. Right away.